I'm 76 years old. I wake up most nights around 3 in the morning, not because of pain, but because of something heavier. There's one regret that has followed me into this age, and it doesn't fade with time the way people say it does. I don't tell this story to feel better about myself. I'm past that. I'm telling it because I don't have many years left, and silence feels worse than honesty now. When you're this old, time changes shape. Days feel short, but years feel like they've already happened. I sit in the same chair every morning, the one by the window, and I watch the same street I've watched for decades. Different cars, different faces, same road. Sometimes I wonder how many mornings I thought I had left back when I was young. I always assumed there would be more. I'm not afraid of dying. What keeps me awake is knowing exactly where I went wrong and knowing I can't go back there. In my 20s, I wasn't careless. That's the part that hurts the most. I was responsible. I worked hard. I showed up. I did what people around me said a good man was supposed to do. I got my first real job at 24. It wasn't glamorous. A small office, gray walls, the smell of old paper and burnt coffee. But it paid the bills, and that mattered. I told myself I was building something, a future, stability. I met my wife around that time. She laughed easily back then. She used to tilt her head when she listened, like she was giving the moment her full attention. I noticed it. I really did. We talked about life the way young people do, abstractly, as if time was a resource that could never run out. When our first child was born, I was terrified, not of being a father, but of failing to provide, failing to be enough. So I worked more. At first, it felt temporary, just a few late nights, just until the next promotion, just until things settled. They never did. I missed dinners, not all of them, just enough that it became normal. I missed bedtime stories sometimes, not because I didn't want to read them, but because I was tired. And I told myself I'd make it up on the weekend. Weekends filled themselves with errands, repairs, obligations. There was always something practical that needed doing. I don't remember the exact moment my wife stopped waiting up for me. It didn't happen all at once. She just stopped asking when I'd be home. We didn't fight much. That's something people misunderstand. Silence does more damage than shouting ever could. I told myself this was what adulthood looked like. Compromise, sacrifice, pushing through. In my 40s, I started to feel something I didn't have a name for back then. A dull pressure, like I was always slightly behind my own life. My children were growing fast. They didn't need me the same way anymore. They didn't wait for me to come home. I remember one afternoon clearly. I came back early for once. The house was quiet. I stood in the doorway of my son's room and saw how different it looked. New posters, different furniture. I realized I hadn't noticed when the change happened. That should have been my wake-up call. It wasn't. Sasanji. I kept telling myself there would be time later, when work slowed down, when the kids were older, when things were easier. Later is a dangerous word. It sounds generous. It isn't. The cost didn't come in a single blow. It came in tiny withdrawals, moments I didn't think mattered. A school play I skipped because of a deadline. A conversation I postponed because I was distracted. A walk I said no to because I was tired. None of those moments felt like a tragedy at the time. That's how regret hides. It wears ordinary clothes. My wife and I grew polite with each other, courteous. We discussed logistics more than feelings. I didn't notice how lonely she was becoming. Or maybe I noticed and didn't know what to do with it. By the time I realized something was wrong, it felt too late to bring it up. We had built a life that functioned but didn't connect. Then she got sick, not suddenly, gradually. Doctor visits, tests, words spoken carefully. I sat in the hospital chair and held her hand, and for the first time in years, there was nothing else competing for my attention. I thought I would finally get the chance to fix things. I really believed that. She passed away on a quiet morning. No dramatic final words, just a slow fading. After the funeral, the house felt enormous. Every room echoed. I kept thinking about all the conversations we didn't have. All the evenings I chose work over sitting beside her. Grief is strange. It doesn't shout. It whispers over and over what you should have done differently. My children were kind. They visited. They called. But they had their own lives by then. And they should. That's not their fault. What I didn't expect was how invisible I would feel, how little my absence from a room would matter. I had spent my life trying to be useful. Now there was no one left to be useful for. That's when the regret sharpened. Not because I failed, but because I delayed. I assumed love would wait, that relationships were durable enough to survive neglect. Some are, some aren't. There are things you can't apologize for once the person is gone. Not because they wouldn't forgive you, but because the conversation itself no longer exists. I replay moments in my head, not the big ones, the small ones. Her sitting at the table alone. My child glancing toward the door when it opened, hoping it was me. I wasn't cruel. I wasn't absent entirely. I was just not present enough. If you're listening to this, I'm not asking you to change your life overnight. I wouldn't know how to do that myself. I just want you to understand something I didn't. Time doesn't announce itself when it's running out. It behaves like it always has, right up until it doesn't. The people who matter most don't need your efficiency. They need your attention. I thought success would make me feel secure. It didn't. I thought providing was the same as being there. It isn't. If you're young, you won't believe how fast decades disappear. I wouldn't have believed me either. All I know is this. When the noise fades, when the titles and schedules fall away, what's left is very simple. Who you showed up for. And who you didn't. I don't have many nights left to lie awake. I've made peace with that. But if this story sits with you If it makes you pause even a little, that's enough for me. Sometimes the only thing an old man can offer is the truth, spoken too late for himself, but maybe not for someone else. I'll go back to sleep now. Morning comes early at this age.